welcome to this lecture. So in the previous lecture what you encountered was when you just play this game and collide with this pig, so instead of just when you hit all of this pig, then it should be transited to next level. Instead we are stuck to this level, and in the previous lecture we just maintained, that is we just created and maintained this function that was just handling our draw level cleared, so that was basically directing to the next level. But it is just a bunch of a code that is just showing us a rectangle, or rectangle, and our stars and our score. But in order to transit that level, we have to handle that. So before handling that events, let me create another function that will be restart function. So this restart will delete all our object of this level, that is the current level object will be deleted in this restart method. So in this restart, let me say that is first will be pigs to remove should be empty, and similarly birds to remove should be also empty. So this is a local variable. You can see that this is not a global variable here. So again we'll say column, let me say columns, and to remove should be again empty here. And now time to take, that is beams to remove. So these are the object that we have in our gameplay. So we have only, so if you run it again and see what are the object that we have is bird, obviously we have also pig and this beam and frame. So we have to remove all of these objects in this restart function. So let's do that first. So what you're gonna do first is just remove the pig now first. So pig in pigs, so that is our that is our list, and we just iterate through our list to remove the pig. And I'll say pig to remove and just append that pig. And now what you're gonna do is just loop again in this pig to remove, that should be pig to remove, and just loop it again and just remove it. That means you have to remove from the space, that is from the your gameplay, that is from this remove function. So just remove, and you should remove first the shape of the pig, that would be shape, and similarly you'll just remove the body, that is pig dot shape dot body. So remove this two part of the pig. That means now pig has been removed basically from the space, but pig had not been removed from this pigs list. So just remove that now. So I'll say pigs, that is our list, and just remove this pig that we have selected. So the pig has been removed from our screen or from our gameplay. So we have to do the same process. That let me just copy, and we have to do this same process for our bird. This are for bird, and similarly same for column, and same for beam. So instead of this pig now we have to have here bird, and it should be in bird. And similarly just see here, this should be bird to remove, and just put here a bird. And in this again this pig should be bird again, so it should be bird to remove, and just remove the bird shape. Similarly remove this body of the bird, and just remove this bird from our gameplay. Similarly you can do for column, and this column, okay, it is not columns, it must be columns, and in it should be in birds, not only bird, so it should be column now, and this should be columns. In columns what you're gonna do is you'll just append this column, and in this basically let me say in this column, and in this column to remove, so this should be column to remove, and in this column to remove again loop, and just remove the shape of the column, and you should also remove this body of the column. And the last one is basically for this beam. So I'll say for beam, in beams, and in this beams what you're gonna have is you have to just call this beams to remove and just append this beam in it, and after that just loop in this beam to remove again. So beam to remove, and just say here as a beam, and just remove this beam shape and similarly the body of the beam, and just remove this beam from these beams. So we have covered all our necessary steps in order to restart our game. So basically what this restart does is it will basically delete all our game object, that is current game object. So this is exactly that is saying that you just remove this pig and bird and column and beam from the game. So now we'll handle the events. So in handling these events, it is really important you just go in this main loop, that is where we handle these events, and you can go in here, that is after this level number of bird, and just see here it should be outside this scope. So that means we'll have here. So I'll check first, that is if event that we get from the user, and that is type again. If the event type is pygame dot mouse button up, and let me say if it is also check this button, that is event button dot button equal to 1. That means you are clicking the right button, basically right part of the mouse. So firstly we'll check the game state. So this is important. So I have said you that while creating this, go here in the function, that is the function that is we created before this restart. So in this draw level cleared function, what we have is I have said you that game state equal to 4. That means game state is equal to 4 is the transition between the game. So we'll use this game state in order to transit from one level to another. So we'll check if the game state equal to 4, that will just build next level here, build next level. That is if you are in level 0, then you have to go or direct to this level 1. So inside here we'll just check now first, that is if x dot it is not x dot, it is x mouse is greater than 610 and y mouse is greater than 450. So what is this condition really is, if x mouse is basically greater than 610 and y mouse is greater than 450, means go back to this function again, and you can see here that we have this replay and next button. So if you are wondering what that condition was, that we check that events, that is x mouse is greater than 610 and basically we have also y mouse is greater than 450, that means we are just hitting this button. It is referring to this next button. So that means if you hit that next button, if the mouse is in the next button, therefore in this case we are referring to this next button. So we are hitting this next button. So if the mouse is hitting this next button, then we'll just first call this restart. That means just delete all the object from the gameplay, and just we have level and dot number, that is denoting the number of our level should be increased with 1. So if it was the current level, so this basically to transit from one level to another, we'll just increase the level, that is the number of this level class, and you can see we have here a number, so it should be increased with 1 every time you press that next button. So after that we'll just say that game state again should be 0 now, and level dot load state now. So load state is basically the class, it should be load level, yes, it should be load level. So this is the function of this level. That means you can go down here, so it will be curled. So after this is curled, what you're gonna have is we'll just roll back our all of this variable, that is our score, to 0 again. Bird path will be empty here, that is the bird path should be empty, and again bonus score. So this should be rollback is true again. So after that what we're gonna have is we have to check if the user presses the replay button. So basically we have the two button, and if you go again back to this position that we have this draw level cleared, we have this replay button and next button. So replay button has been handled. Now time to handle this next button. So we'll say if x mouse is less than 610 and y mouse is greater than 450, then what you're gonna have is we'll just restart the new level, that is restart the current level. So user has pressed this restart button, so we'll say restart the current level and just press this restart method should be called. That means you have to just clear all the game object from the gameplay, and we'll just level dot load level again, and similarly, so it is saying this indentation level error. So after that we'll just say game state should be roll back to 0 again, and board path should be empty. And now what we're gonna do is we'll say score should be O. So we have completed all our events and also the function. Now it's time to call this function. So calling this function should be here. So let's call it here after this screen bleed, that is our function draw. It was the draw level cleared, so call it here, and now we're good to go with our game. So play it now and see what its output looks like. So you can now just play this game by just hitting this play button, and our game is up and running here. So let me just make this all pick to die first, and you can see this our basically a purple screen that we have created in this while creating this function. You can go up here, and in this draw label we have created this screen having basically this color here. The screen have this purple color, so it is rendering all of our basically score and level cleared and also our star. So we'll just see what if I just press this basically this next icon. If I press this, you could see that there should be change basically in this. So let me just quickly make it die, and you can see the skill level has been cleared. If I take next, so there is no change in the level basically. So what this happened is basically we haven't covered some of these events, so we'll cover that in the next lecture. So see you there.